Is it going to be behind screen still?
Ah,
Is it going to be?
yeah, there's always a little bit of a delay, but okay, so we're live. Just a quick test.
Is it going to be behind screen still?
Ah, yeah, there's always a little bit of a delay, but okay, so we're live. Sir, do you look back behind you on the screen?
Mm-hmm.
You can go ahead and see if you are able to be interpreted properly there. And I think we may have to use screen just for the 6 foot distance on that side. And then, feedback like crazy.
Quite a delay.
Huh?
That's quite a delay there.
What it does is it allows us to assess when people are coming in, and people out there don't really know it's not in real time. So that's a switch cameras if we have to very quickly. I think we're in good shape.
Do we sit over here?
No, we'll be all right. I think I just want to shift things over slightly. No, we'll be all right. I think I just want to shift things over slightly. That way, I think the commissioner's in the center. 2 commissioners are call in. That's on the screen. I think we're good.
Oh, Commissioner Marty, this is going to be a call-in?
Yeah. Yeah, we have a conference call in for those folks that can't be down or don't want to be down.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to make it as user-friendly as possible for everyone. That's what I can do.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good.
Good morning. Good morning.
Are you the other interpreter?
Yes, I am.
So that's your seat right there.
Okay.
We'll be broadcasting live. So let me just release this email, and then I'll have you go ahead and get in position, I guess. So that's what we'll be seeing.
Okay.
So, sir, that's what we're looking at.
Okay.
I'm thinking we have you here in the center, the 2 interpreters on the sides.
Well, what we were even thinking, if you don't mind, to make sure we're definitely 6 feet apart. That we don't mind if I'm not on camera as long as the 2 of you are on camera. Okay, and then I can sit off to the side somewhere, or even speak from the podium, because the focus should be the 2 of you.
So we won't be working at the same time, we're gonna be switching off,
Okay.
so.
That's why I have them on both here. You'll see that they can both be seen here very clearly.
Okay.
If I got you on center, you can be seen here. If Tommy comes over just a little bit to the side here, we should be okay.
And I just want to make sure because the public will come into the
Well, where do you want us, as long as they feel comfortable.
We're 6 feet there. We should be 6 feet here. And the triangulation here is just a little bit under 6 foot maybe.
Where I'm okay here, or
Yes,
you guys?
Yes, sir, right there.
And then.
And I have this conference call in case the commissioner doesn't.
And what we could do to definitely be 6 is I'll just stay right in the center. You stay in the center there because the other 2 aren't coming.
You good, boss?
Yep.
I'm just waiting for the rich to come up now.
Thank you so much.
Sure, absolutely.
You guys want a donut or a fritter, they just brought us.
You can never say no. It's from Love and Up.
It's
It's
like,
the
I
best
do like
bakery
this.
in Espanola.
Oh, is it
It's
really?
the only bakery.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
in
You
fact,
know what, if there's something when this is over, I'm gonna go get one.
I would
Okay,
love to,
perfect.
oh,
yeah.
okay, you guys are welcome to go back. There's not that many of us today, so.
Thank you.
You guys like a water, or?
I think
I would love to have one if you have one.
Yeah, I have bottled water, that'd be great.
Yeah, right here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
In here as well.
Oh, it's right there.
So instead of switching back and forth, they're gonna have us both on camera the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah, we'll be not both in terms of.
Right, of course, but
It's too complicated to have you swap in and out. Right now, it's just easier to have you guys.
Me and Linda and Sarah looked at each other and gave our
Okay.
Double check.
so he's gonna change the feed of the interpreter, or is this just gonna we're constantly gonna be, we're gonna constantly be in the picture?
Doesn't see in the
Really
picture.
weird.
And, a bit odd.
I saw
So I
it.
guess we,
I couldn't tell who it was, but it
There's
was
the
a
delay.
male and a kid
there's a
going
big
in.
delay. I think because it's
It
real
was not
time.
an email.
I think Raymond, this gentleman here, said
They
that,
were employees or, just double check.
they'll be able to make adjustments in the event something would happen, you know, they need to cast something out. So we're gonna have to make total comparisons and that. Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
So they got one.
So when will that go in here, huh?
So,
In this round area?
you can see, I'm gonna have to sign, much slower than normal. Excuse me.
Well, it just feels like, did she send you this? She kept telling me she couldn't find the agenda, but I went on the website and I was like, there it is.
Yeah, it's on the left corner on the website.
I don't have anybody calling in yet. Where you go? Is the bridge up?
Yeah, I can go.
Let me go look, because the bridge doesn't look like it's coming up.
It's kind of a whole shot.
Yeah, it just seems kind of, not necessarily gonna have the best interpreting picture with both of us there.
They usually catch us from about waist up.
Yeah.
They usually catch us from about waist up, you know, when we're interpreting.
But they're doing, you're doing the whole shot the whole time like that, right?
Unless I'm swapping cameras. I guess I'll do this. Because we have a bridge call happening and people appear on the screen. Like that right there, see?
So the live feed will go to this sometimes?
Huh?
You're saying the live feed will change over to this?
I can change the live feed here dynamically. I'm controlling it from right here.
Right, so, but what you're saying is what's showing on the screen right now is what would show on the live feed?
I'll try. Unless I swap over. So while they're interpreting, whatever,
Let me have David come and get it.
the live feed can change.
It's okay that we're blocking the names of the commissioners?
Absolutely.
It's okay?
We could actually even take them down because
You could scoot them maybe in further that way, then they can be seen.
We can.
Okay, and I'll try to behave because I speak Spanglish, so
It's all right, I speak Spanglish too.
you guys can do Spanglish.
That's
Native
okay.
We're
Mexican
okay.
right here.
Caught me well.
Mr. Ortiz.
Sir, I see them, internet user, I see it, I'm logged in right here. Whoever that is, I think
Okay,
that's
about,
ATA.
Can you hear us, Adan? Adan? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Adan?
You might have to call in on that conference phone for that meeting.
I think it's a delay, right?
No, the delays on the cameras and all the.
That's the record.
Want me to call him to make sure he can hear us?
I was just gonna tease him. I said, Adan, are you really wearing pants or not? He's at home.
Alright, let me just, yeah.
Hey, Evan, can you hear us? We saw your face pop up on the screen. I just wasn't sure if you could hear us because we asked Evan to hear us. We're gonna try to conference it. Okay. You're breaking up, but okay, I'll let him know.
Yeah, which my mind doesn't think it's so nice.
Whose emails up?
That's me.
Would you like to go and would you like to start? Would you like me to start? And I can't, we worked together before.
Sure, if I wish you guys I could give you a hug that I can't.
Yeah, it's fine. Good
Or
for me.
To give you a hug.
I'm real comfortable with that, like if there's a convenient spot, it's only been 15 minutes.
That's what I told
It's
you.
not be a spot.
I don't know if they're on my, yeah, you're right there. You have your pointing, sir.
So what I'm gonna do is have you join Alfredo in the training room since there's too many of us in here.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning. What's your title, Napoleon?
Public Works Administrator.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear you, Adan. I don't know, we'll get you a recommendation. I think Napo wants to know the same thing.
Are we paused?
I can pause it, sir.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, here we go. Once he goes live. We're just waiting to get unpaused from this and then we're gonna start, okay?
Okay, guys, we have interpreters here, so we gotta talk loud and clear because we have, so we have interpreters here and sign language, I'm sorry.
Okay, we should be good.
Okay, we're ready whenever you are. Are you ready, Ray?
I believe so, so let me just check the feed on this one. Battery just died on it.
I guess I'll do a courtesy to the son because she's saying she can't get the feed. Oh. Well, let's just put you on our speakerphone. You can't get the feed. Can you get it?
It's not coming up on YouTube. Is it on the
She has to refresh it, we're live now.
Yeah.
She should see
Yeah,
it
it's not
streaming.
coming up.
Tell her to refresh.
Is there, for open meetings, do you have to have it broadcasted or no?
No,
Well,
it's preferred.
that's preferred.
But we're having some.
We're having technical difficulties, but like I said, I can be doing the cell phone. It's fine.
Molly, we're also waiting because we have two sign language interpreters here.
Okay.
And so that's the importance of being live. How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks.
So if she goes to that link
Try
and just hits refresh.
the link now, hit refresh.
Hit refresh
Yep, on the YouTube link.
on the county channel.
No, just go to the link on the website, on our website.
County website.
Okay, are we ready now?
Yes, sir, I'm gonna change the message.
Sorry, I'm trying
Yes.
to move too much, but I moved.
You let me know when you're ready, Mr. Chief.
I'm not trying to get
Give us
touchy.
any call to order.
You are broadcasting live, sir.
Okay.
Webpage.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Commissioner Leo Jaramillo, and we apologize for our delayed start on today's meeting. We were having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I'm calling this meeting of the regular County Commission to order at 10:16 a.m. If we can please have a roll call.
Leo Jaramillo,
Present.
Danny Garcia, James Martinez,
Very good. So all three commissioners are in attendance at the meeting. Now it's important that I make a few notes before we continue on. I'm letting you know how this meeting will take place since it's the first time that we've been doing this remotely. And so all members who are participating, I'm asking that you please identify yourselves whenever you are going to speak and make sure that you're very clear so that members of the public can hear. I will need to make sure that each vote is done publicly, one by one, with each commissioner by doing a roll call. And so if there's any questions during the meeting from anyone who's teleconferenced in, please let me know, and we can ensure that you introduce yourself by name and then ask your question for the record. Are there any questions on the new procedure, Chairman? Commissioners? Very good. With no questions being asked, I even ask for those at home joining us to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Now if you can remain standing, Commissioner Martinez, if you will lead us in prayer. Commissioner Martinez? Commissioner Garcia, are you online?
Commissioner, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Is this Commissioner Garcia?
Commissioner Jaramillo?
Yes. I can hear you.
Yes, Commissioner Martinez. I can hear you too, but I cannot hear the others. I cannot hear the Pledge of Allegiance.
you are
Yeah, we've got an issue.
I did turn my back. This is Commissioner Jaramillo. Commissioner Martinez, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Commissioner Martinez, if you can lead us in prayer.
Yes, of course. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning. First of all, thanking you for a new day. We thank you for life, for salvation and forgiveness. We thank you for allowing us to gather here to discuss the business that is before us. We first of all want to pray for those by this virus, for those that have been in a financial difficulty. We pray for those in hospitals, those that are sick. We pray for a complete healing. We pray for the doctors and nurses. We pray for our first responders. We pray for our elected officials. And Lord, we also pray for us that you would protect us, that you would be our shield, our covering, that you would keep us safe and healthy and well. We ask you, Lord, as we conduct this meeting, that you would guide our decisions, that you would bless Rear Riva. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Commissioners, would you like to greet our guests those joining us either via the internet or via telecom. And we can start off with Commissioner Garcia. Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Martinez, would you like to greet our guests?
Yes. First of all, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely, I can hear you.
Very good. Well, yes, good morning and welcome everyone to this commission meeting. Out of respect and in order to set a positive example of social distancing, I made a decision to participate in today's via video conference. And so we certainly are in times, challenging times, but I want to first thank the county staff, our sheriff's department, our first responders for the attention and the work involved in all three times. Everybody has formulated a well-thought-out plan and has been involved in the best way possible. So thank you to all, and continue to pray our state across our state and nation, and we continue to pray for God's protection for. So thank you again for joining us here in this meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. This is Commissioner Jaramillo. I want to echo what Commissioner Martinez said in thanking all the first line responders for what they do, including those men and women who work at grocery stores throughout Rio Arriba County who are ensuring that our stock is kept up, groceries are made available. We thank you. We thank our Sheriff's Department, firefighters, doctors, nurses, and those in healthcare like Lauren Reichout who are helping us out. Now, before we begin, gentlemen, in my welcome, I want to remind you that joining us via teleconference or web conferencing, in addition to the two commissioners, is County Attorney Adan Trujillo, Finance Director Christine Montano, Finance Department Lupe McCure, County Treasurer Livia Olguin, County Economic Development Specialist Chris Madrid, County Public Works Administrator Napoleon Garcia, and County Emergency Manager Alfredo Montoya. I'm going to move on to item 6 of the agenda, which is the approval of today's agenda. Can I hear a motion for approval? Motion by Commissioner Martinez to approve the agenda. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Garcia. And since we're doing this via telecon and webcasting, we must take a roll.
Danny Garcia. James Martinez.
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo.
Yes. Motion approves and the agenda has been approved. We're now going to move on to item number 7, which is old business and the approval of minutes. Gentlemen, I hope you've had the opportunity to review the 3 different attachments containing minutes. We'll move to number 1, which is the regular meeting in Tierra Maria And if you don't mind, I'm gonna lump the three together since we take a roll call, unless you deem otherwise.
You better read
I
all
still,
three.
Mr. Chair, to approve, the
You should read the items specifically.
Okay,
Three of them.
very, okay. So Commissioner Garcia has made a motion for approval of the 3 minutes. The first, the regular meeting in Tierra Amarilla, which was held on February 25th, 2020. The special meeting in Espanola, which was held on March 11th, 2020. And the special meeting held in Espanola on March 13th, 2020. Do I have a second on Commissioner Garcia's amendment to approve all 3 meetings?
Yes, Commissioner Martinez, seconds that.
Commissioner Martinez has seconded the motion. We will then take a roll call on the approval of the regular meeting from Tierra Maria and the 2 regular meetings from Espanola, one on March 11th and the other on March 13th. We will now do a roll call.
Danny Garcia,
Yes.
James Martinez,
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo,
Yes. We're now going to move on to our action items and new business, which are financial matters. We move to 1A, the budget report for February 2020 by Ms. Christine Montano.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Before you have the budget report for February 2020 for review only.
Gentlemen,
So, Mr. Chair, I recommend approval.
the county manager has recommended approval. Do I hear a motion?
I shall move, Mr. Chair, to approve, the budget report by the Annual for review only.
Motion by Commissioner Garcia. Do I hear a second?
Yes, Commissioner Martinez, I second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Martinez. Roll call.
Danny Garcia,
Yes.
James Martinez,
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo,
Yes. We now move on to the cash report for February 2020. Again, we go to Christine Montano.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, before you have the cash report for February 2020 for approval.
What is the recommendation of the county manager?
I recommend approval, Mr. Chair.
There's been a recommendation by the county manager. Do I have a motion? Commissioner Martinez, you're muted.
My apologies, Chair, I still, make a motion.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Martinez. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Garcia. We will do a roll call.
Danny Garcia, James Martinez,
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo,
Yes. Commissioners, any discussion? No by both commissioners. We then move to the vouchers of period February 20th through March 18th, 2020. We go again to Christine Montano.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, before you have the vouchers for February 20th, 2020 through March 8th, 2020 for approval.
Thank you, Christine. What's the recommendation of the county manager?
I recommend approval, Mr. Chair.
There's been a recommendation by the county manager. Do I have a motion for approval? Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Garcia. Do I have a second?
Yes, you have a second by Commissioner Martinez.
Second is by Commissioner Martinez. We now take a roll call.
Danny Garcia,
Yes.
James Martinez,
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo.
Yes. Any discussion, gentlemen?
Chair, Commissioner Garcia, I just want to, continue to reiterate the fact that we need to, more than ever, buy and shop local. I've seen, our vouchers for the past, several months, and, there are some, expenditures from larger, out-of-state corporations. And I know we look at a balance between, cost savings and buying local wherever possible. So I just want to urge our staff to, support our local businesses more than ever, especially during these times.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Now, I want to echo what Commissioner Martinez just said, and I know there are agreements in place to shop local, and that in these times, we do support small business and local business because it's the right thing to do, especially with the times that we're currently in. Any comments from you, Commissioner Garcia?
I also think that, was coming from Commissioner Martinez. Now, can we have a way to see what's comment on this, maybe they have a reason to, but, for the county manager to comment to see where the reasons for going out the state or our local person.
Okay, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, I will reiterate to the staff and, present them with the contracts that we have to buy local and we'll, I'll go through it with the staff again. That way we can try to keep it local. I think the staff has just been looking at the lowest price and not giving consideration to a local vendor, so we'll look at that again, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Commissioner Garcia.
Gentlemen, thank you for your comments. We're now going to move on to requested approvals. We move on to item number A, which is the Rio Arriba County Lodgers Tax Board member list. Presenting is Sheila Vigil.
You can just stand there, the camera will catch you there.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Mr. Campos. Before you have the Rio Arriba County Lodgers Tax Board members list. Leo Jaramillo, Board Chairman. Erin Bader, Board Member. Elizabeth Inman, Board Member. Harry Cordova, Board Member. Mike Romero, Board Member. Mr. Campos, your recommendation.
Mr. Chair, I recommend that we accept the new Lodgers Tax Board.
Thank you, Sheila. There's been a recommendation by County Manager Tomas Campos to approve the new board members list. Do I have here a motion?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Martinez.
Motion by Commissioner Martinez. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Garcia. We then go to roll call.
Danny Garcia,
Yes.
James Martinez,
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo.
Yes. Gentlemen, any discussion? The next meeting will take place on April 15th, and we're gonna do it via teleconference. Yes.
Can right now, especially that we're doing, can you send, minutes before the meeting, from the merchants that have been received, before we need approval of there's not a large amount of money left on the electric tax. So she can send it out the request.
So are you requesting a copy of what the remainder of the budget in our lodger's tax account?
No, it's the merchants that have for April 15.
So a list of merchants who have requested assistance from the lodger's tax, is that correct, Commissioner Garcia?
Yeah.
Sheila will get you that list. Commissioner Martinez, I'll ask that she also send that to you so you can reference it. And I'll ask that I also get a copy so that we see who's been requesting money, because we can all agree that with business slowing down, with staying at home, we gotta definitely revisit and look at those requests and be a little frugal when it comes to trying to get the money out.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Martinez, and
Thank you. So now we're going to do a roll call. Did we do the roll call? Sorry, gentlemen, the roll call was done. We're going to move on to authorizing the county manager to sign a memo of understanding between Mora County and Rio Arriba County. For that, we go to County Attorney Adam Trujillo.
Good morning, Commissioner Martinez, Chairman Alameda, Commissioner Garcia, and Mr. Campos, and all staff, and probably the County Adam Trujillo. And I will be presenting to our agenda authorizing the county manager to sign the memorandum of understanding between Mora County and Rio County. In the recent legislative session, Mora County several capital outlay funding. They have several capital outlay funding requests that were granted. In order to fulfill those grant requests, it appears that Mora County will require someone to act legally. One of the reasons that Mora County has, but it's not able to act with their own fiscal aid. As a consequence, Mora County reached out to children that was interested in acting as a fiscal agent. I wasn't involved in those discussions, but I believe that the county manager could give you some further background on the history of those discussions in this area. And so it's my understanding that there was a preliminary agreement to essentially act as a fiscal agent. In order for that agreement to be binding and valid, the county commission would have to authorize the county manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Mora County to act as a fiscal agent for the purposes of fulfilling those capital outlay grant agreements that it has with the state. I can stand for questions, but I would defer to the county manager for the background on this particular agenda item.
Thank you, Anand.
So, Mr. Chair, Mora previously did have a different fiscal agent, and I won't get into that relationship that Mora had with a different county. But that relationship it fell through, and this request was actually from the Department of Finance and Administration, and also a request from the governor's office that we assist Mora County. So with that, Mr. Chair, with those two requests, they're basically purchases, so it's not very complex. And just a shout out to our finance department, because if we didn't have our ducks in order, we wouldn't have this request before us. So, Mr. Chair, I recommend that we approve this memorandum of understanding.
So there's been a recommendation for approval by our county manager. Do I hear a motion?
I so move, Chair, Commissioner Martinez, that we approve this recommendation by our county manager.
Motion by Commissioner Garcia. Do I hear a second?
There is a second by Commissioner Martinez.
Second by Commissioner Martinez. We will now then go to roll call.
Danny Garcia,
Yes.
James Martinez,
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo.
Yes. Gentlemen, do we have any discussion?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, I'm thankful that the county, in being a good neighbor, has made this decision to be the fiscal agent of Mora County. Whatever circumstances led to this, that we can step up and be a good neighbor to our friends there in Mora County. So well done to our staff for making this possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia, do you have any comments?
Yes, Commissioner, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Martinez. Tomas, and I know that you just briefly mentioned that the request came from the governor's office and from the Department of Finance. And kind of echoing what Commissioner Martinez is saying, I guess we are stepping up to the plate and helping our neighbors with this situation that I want to charge them anything, but is there a fee to them or not?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, no, that in this case, being that it's just purchases, we're not gonna charge them an administrative fee. If there was contract management involved or anything to that extent, we would. And it was also the governor's request that we not charge also. That was part of the request from the governor.
Okay, and I wanted to, but I just wanted to find out that way we all in the same page.
Because, again, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, again, these are purchases, so by taking 2 or 5%, we'd be limiting their purchasing power. And it, as you can see on your thing, it has to do with public safety. There's police cars, there's an ambulance bay, there's other things that we don't wanna take away from the public on their purchases.
Yeah, I thought the list was actually, so, they were, a lot of that money for a request that they had.
Okay, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, we have assisted other agencies in the past, such as our city, Espanola, and I think we've been asked to assist Chama in a couple of instances, but I understand there may be several requests coming down the line, especially from the secas and the water systems that don't have good audits. So we'll evaluate each one and see if we charge from 1 to 5% administrative fee, depending on what they want inside the agreement. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I want to echo the same comment and kudos and thanks to our finance department. It shows exactly the strong work you're doing when the governor requests that we become the fiscal agent. Now, commissioners, I also want to send a word of thank you from Mora District 1 County Commissioner, Veronica Serna, who is thankful to Riva County for partnering. And so you've known for a long time that I said we're stronger together. And this is definitely a way that we're showing we're stronger together in northern New Mexico by helping our neighboring counties out. We're now going to move to item number C, which is an amendment to the Rio Riva County Personnel Handbook. And for that, we head to Avan Trujillo.
Thank you, Chairman. Commission. Again, County Attorney Avan Trujillo with this agenda item. And so before I get into the agenda item, one thing I wanted to make very clear is that there is no amendment to the county personnel policy that we're discussing right now that is related to the COVID-19 crisis, to the pandemic, or the coronavirus in any way, shape, or form. What I am is that this crisis, this pandemic, while extremely unsettling, is also temporary, and that we are not going to consider any changes to the personnel policy by the commission to keep the fluidity and to keep the fluidity in night when it was brought to my attention that through oversight, several provisions had been left off of the personnel policy that the county commission considered last year towards the end of the year, as well as payroll has given me a list of potential changes that they thought better conformed to their practices and to the practices that the county currently participates in order to get our employees paid. And so, for the most part, the amendments that you will see in this personnel handbook are very formatting. There is one section regarding the code of conduct and the code of ethics that needed to be renumbered so that it would be better able to be cited. There are a handful of changes regarding the way that payroll operates in terms of final paychecks, in terms of leave request forms, that sort of thing. And then there's a new section that has been inadvertently left off regarding board leave. And so those are the changes to the personnel policy. As I previously stated, there are no changes that the commission is currently looking at with regards to the COVID-19 crisis. But in the declaration of local emergency agenda item later on, we will discuss authorizing the county manager to make temporary changes to the personnel policy as needed, as well as to ratify changes that have already taken place in order to protect our county employees to the extent possible, while also having to balance out the need to continue to provide essential services to our constituents. And if you have any questions, Commissioners, I'd be more than happy to have the documents put up on those go through any particular sections that require your consideration before you make any sort of action.
Commissioners, do I have any questions? I do. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Garcia, did you say you had a question?
No.
Commissioner Martinez?
Yes. This is Commissioner Martinez, Commissioner Garcia. First of all, I want to thank our county management, our directors, and our elected officials for coordinated action that's been taken during this time by allowing flexibility within our scheduling of our staff, by allowing our own essential services and operations to continue, which benefit our constituents. We are, and we've seen unprecedented times. We're in, as they say, we're in uncharted territory. So our management, I believe, has taken appropriate measures to ensure the safety of our staff, while at the same time allowing those essential services to continue. Now, in regards to the personnel handbook, Adan, is there, if you can clarify, is there a provision that does allow our county staff who are on boards or commissions to have some time off or leave for the purpose of those board meetings, etc.?
Adan, before you answer that question, the commission was sent a letter by several employees who currently serve on boards. And so the majority of those employees who serve on a board represent school boards from different districts. Now their concern was not having board leave time. And the three of us commissioners can echo in how much time it does take to serve on a board or a commission. And so the request was if we could consider bringing back board leave for those employees who do serve on a board. Now, I do think that the county manager has some insights to that as well, and then we can go to the county attorney. We'll start off with county manager Tomas Campos.
So, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I had asked the previous commission when we were passing this. So basically, I told that they had to have plenty of leave, and I had asked for the elimination of board leave, so that's why the board leave was an issue left out of this policy. So the employees have asked us to reconsider. So presently, the change is to add 8 hours of board leave a month. I'm okay with this change. I don't know if the commissioner want to debate the amount of leave. As we move forward, Amanda and I will try to develop what kind of board this will be for, but for now, I guess we'll leave it at my discretion. Because at one point, there's a lot of boards out there, and I think we need to actually pin it down to see how beneficial the board is. I won't get into that discussion now, but at one point there was boards that just, they didn't seem to be public boards or boards that would benefit our constituents in any way, so I think that's one of the caveats that I'm not going to work on leaving.
Alon, do you have any comments? Commissioners, do you have any additional comments? Do you want to discuss more board leave? Thank you. Commissioner Garcia, do you have any comments? Thank you. Now, I do have a comment that I also think 8 hours is good, but there's something I want to add. If 8 hours were done in 1 month, those 8 hours could roll on to the next month. And here's what I'm thinking. So Commissioner Martinez, when you and I went our first year as commissioners to Albuquerque, we went to a 3-day training. And you and I both had to take vacation time from work because we didn't have that available. So if by any chance, if the county attorney and the county manager can think of a way that we can allow employees to do no more than 2 consecutive days if they didn't use their 8 hours in a previous month. So that would allow during trainings, if employees needed to be at a 3-day training, they could do 2 days of board pay that would have carried over from a month where they didn't use that board pay. That's something I want Alon to look at and research before we make any type of, because I think today we're not voting, if that's correct. We're just having a discussion so that we can then later put it on the agenda, which I believe would be next month, to have a vote on this. Is that correct, Alan?
Chairman Armio, as presented, this is an agenda item, so I did make the changes to the personnel policy that we did, talked about it on the as well as the additional working. And so we do have a final document available for your consideration today. If you would like to have a change to that, I would suggest that we table this item for the next meeting, and I can definitely add links regarding that. As it stands right now, it is open-ended and subject to different interpretations. So leave that flexibility, whether those 8 hours could roll over to the next month. If you'd like something that's more clear in terms of immediately allowing that, then I can definitely add that. And then that's the situation I would expect it to be taken.
What is the recommendation?
Mr. Chair, I recommend that you approve it as it is. It allows for interpretation, as the county attorney said, so we can be liberal with your request and we can write it the way you want a little bit later.
Okay. Did you hear that, Alan?
Can you repeat that, please?
Adan, what I told him is, being that your comment was that you wrote it a little bit open-ended, that we can interpret it the way that the commissioner asked us to, and we can come back with a rewriting later on.
Based on those comments, gentlemen, commissioners, do we have a motion or further discussion? So if I heard you correct, Commissioner, you're taking the county manager approval and making a motion to approve the personnel handbook. Do I hear a second? Second by Commissioner Martinez. And just to reiterate, it's approving the personnel handbook as is, which does include the board leads. Is that correct? That is correct. Okay, we then go to roll call.
Danny Garcia. James Martinez. Leo Jaramillo.
Yes. Motion passes. We now move on to item number 3 under new business, which are resolutions. And we start off with resolution 2020-68. It's the urging the Bureau of Land Management to renew its memo of understanding with Rio Grande County for the Velarde Recreation Facility. We go again to County Attorney Alan Trujillo.
The local community often utilizes it as a walk track
Thanks for that, Trujillo. Thank you. Mine's also a comment. So I also received numerous phone calls from residents of Alcalde and Velarde, and most of them had the assumption that the property was county property that we just let go to waste without utilizing what we currently had in place in regards to softball and baseball. So I was able, like you, Commissioner Martinez, to let them know that it wasn't county property, and that we tried to come up with a plan with the BIA to make sure that we can utilize the property again and bring back some of those tournaments that came in. More so people who have said they've used it for fitness and walking, and most importantly, with Senior Olympics, I want to thank Jeremy Maestas, also who's been working on trying to get this back and going for Parks and Recreation. And gentlemen, so you know, as a side note, I lose every year at the Senior Olympics and I volunteer to Miss Ramona. I'm sure Ramona would like to beat me and take the first place ribbon at these fields as well. She would be one of the many people who would be happy to see this come back. So with that said, what is the recommendation of the county manager?
I recommend approval.
There has been a recommendation by the county manager of approval of resolution 2020-068. Do I hear a motion? Very good. Commissioner Martinez with the motion. Do I hear a second? Second by Commissioner Garcia. We will now do a roll call.
Danny Garcia. James Martinez. Miguel Jaramillo.
Yes. Motion passes. We now move to item B under resolutions, which is resolution 2020-069, the annual certified county maintained mileage report. And then for that, we go to our emergency response center where Napoleon Garcia is ready to present. We can hear you. members, he did help in a recap with that.
Yeah, we did.
So, I'm gonna need you to move the speaker closer to you and speak a little slower so that way our interpreters.
We're gonna have to just, step in.
Okay. Napoleon, we're gonna have you and Sheila switch places so if you can come into the chambers.
Okay, good morning again, everyone. Before you, you have resolution number 2020-069, and it's the annual certification for the county maintained mileage reports that we have to turn into NMDOT, just certifying the mileages within Rio Rico County. We do have a total of 820 miles within the county that we maintain. The only difference from last year to this year are the 2/10 that were added on County Road 79. Mr. Campos, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, if there are no questions from the commission, I recommend approval.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? There's been a recommendation for approval, but before we do that, do you have any questions for Napoleon?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Martinez, I just have a question, for, when you're in the company, not in reference to, mileage report, we can change other than those two things that are not limited. One, I just wanna, ask, forest service agreement, for all the, roads and maintain within the forest. We, had a conference call last week with, the ranger and the vehicle and, others in attendance. And, Nick came up with the ranger and, with the ranger, they're trying to do some kind of, agreement with, the county, as far as the recreation site. So, you have that, what is the last step of this, you have, ready for, the Forest Service agreement?
Well, Mr. Chair, if I may, Commissioner Garcia Adolfo is referencing, we had a voice conference with Carson National Forest. And they're asking for our road maintenance agreements and for us to revisit them, and if we could provide any ones that we do have. So I don't know if we have those files ready available. So with everything that's been going on, I felt to talk to you about that, Michael, but they want to revisit our road agreements with the Carson National Forest.
Okay, Chairman, I understand where you're coming from, Commissioner Garcia. This one is with the DOT, just to certify the mileage within the county roads, but of course we will revisit the Forest Service agreements. I do have them, at my desk, and then we can revisit those, and if we have to go through commission, we will.
Yeah.
Commissioner Garcia, we're having a hard time hearing you. If you can put the phone closer, I don't know if you've stepped away from it, but we had a hard time hearing that last comment.
I'm still here, I haven't moved. Just to confirm that he does have that, what's filed in the office.
So he wants you to confirm you have those files in your office?
Commissioner Garcia, yes, I do. I have the agreements with Carson and I have the agreements with Santa Fe. So we will move forward with visiting both agreements and then move forward at a later date.
Okay, that's fine. That's what I wanted to have available. When all this is done, this matters of this, for unknown melody that we have, that we can make it better, those agreements.
You are unmuted.
Okay, Yes, sir.
What's the recommendation of the county manager?
I recommend approval, Mr. Chair.
There's been a recommendation by the county manager for approval. Do I hear a motion?
Commissioner Martinez?
Commissioner Martinez has made a motion for approval. Do I hear a second?
I have a second, Commissioner Garcia.
Second by Commissioner Garcia. We then now go to roll call.
Danny Garcia,
Yes.
James Martinez,
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo.
Yes. Motion passes. We then move to item D under resolutions for resolution 2020-071. This is the declaration of local state of emergency due to the coronavirus, COVID-19. We go again to County Attorney Alan Trujillo.
Budget increase, decrease first.
Oh. I'm sorry, you're right. I did miss one. It's item C. We're first going to go to resolution 2020-070 before we go to Ilan. So once again, that was my mistake. We're going to go to resolution 2020-070, which is the budget increase decrease. And for that, we go to Christine Montano.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, before you have resolution number 2020-070 for approval for budget increase decrease.
I recommend approval, Mr. Chairman.
So there's been a recommendation by the county manager for approval. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Martinez, for Vermont or Christine.
Okay.
You have item 100 intake fund. What intake fund is that fund for 27?
I understand.
So let me recap for interpreters. So you're wanting to get an understanding of what item 700 in the inmate fund in the amount of $2,737.58 is. You want to know what that fund is that correct?
Okay, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, that fund are funds that are generated through the commissary at the detention and through phone calls, long distance phone calls that the prisoners make. These expenses, they can only be used to benefit the inmates. If I recall, there was a court decision back when, so any funds that are generated from the inmates can only be used in the inmate fund towards the benefit of the inmates. So that is either an expenditure or money that's being placed inside that account. Christine, I'm not sure which one it is, but. Oh, that's just putting it inside the fund.
Did that answer your question? So, Commissioner Garcia, the interpreter and I couldn't understand the question. Can you repeat it, please?
Yes.
Christine, Christine.
The general fund, the revenue is separated into a different fund for the inmates, for their use.
Any other questions? No other questions? There's been a recommendation for approval. Do I hear a motion?
I so move, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, to approve resolution 2020-070.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Garcia. Do I hear a second?
There is a second by Commissioner Martinez.
Seconded by Commissioner Martinez. We then go to roll call.
Danny Garcia,
Yes.
James Martinez,
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo,
Yes. Motion passes. We then go to item.
Mr. Chair, we could just entertain you for a second. Christine, the county treasurer's not there? She didn't?
No,
Okay.
they didn't, show up.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the reason that I had asked the county commissioner to be there, the county treasurer to be there with finance was, we had asked her for an update, but Christine can also give us that same update. Because of the volatility of the stock market and other things that are going on, I wanted to reassure the commission and anybody that's listening out there that our county funds we haven't lost any money on investments or anything to that effect. Did you want to add anything to that, Christine? I know that you talked to Tim Machado and to Lydia.
I think, an update on the investments, but, as we looked at them not too long ago, they are doing okay.
So I wanted to. So, Mr. Chair, I wanted to reassure the commission that we are watching our investments closely to make sure that we're not losing any money. The other thing is that Christine and I are going to develop a plan to, we're going to reduce all non-essential expenditures because of the volatility of our gross receipts tax and during these hard times, the inability of the taxpayers to pay their property tax.
Okay.
So we're gonna start watching those very carefully. We're also hearing there's problems in the oil field with layoffs, and of course we know that's one of our other incomes. So we are gonna be reducing non-vital expenses, and as always, the staff will complain to the commission, so you guys need to get ready to get earful. So.
Okay. Understood.
And we will be following up with the environmental,
Thank you. So I do find it important that we continue to track our investments based on what we're seeing the stock market do. It's important that we be kept up to date. So if there's any updates you can send us from now before the next county commission meeting, it'd be good for us to have an update. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to Resolution 2020-071, which is the declaration of local state of emergency due to the coronavirus COVID-19. And now we go to our county attorney, Adam Trujillo. Adam.
He's muted.
Adam, you're muted. If you can, unmute your mic. There you go. We're ready. You're good, Adam.
Can you hear?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Before you do 2020-071, and this proves the declaration of the state of emergency due to the novel coronavirus COVID-19. The resolution itself is but this is laying the background for the rise of COVID-19 that has rapidly spread across the world. And the fact that it's been declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization, the fact that the governor has issued an executive order that has restricted lots of businesses, has closed schools, the fact that we are now operating under a national state of emergency, and the fact that the governor has issued an executive order. As of yesterday, COVID-19 has spread to 16 out of 33 New Mexico counties. The New Mexico Department of Health has detected community spread in certain communities, meaning that people are transmitting it to each other, people who don't know each other, transmitting it to each other unknowingly. And given that there is great potential for harm to the public as well as the economy and to the negative effects to life, health, property, the public peace, and there have been to do certain things that we can go into one by one, if you like, as well as to try to tap into all available funding sources on the state level for disaster relief. Should the county so have the need. The resolution itself resolves that there is a local state of emergency declared in Rio County. As you know, this was a week where there were 2 confirmed positive cases in Rio County. This emergency will be effective until it is declared to be over by future board action or by the county manager. This resolution strongly encourages all places of private employment to reasonable precautions and social methods to minimize exposure. The county fire marshal, Alfredo Montoya, is hereby confirmed as the local coordinator of emergency management for the COVID-19 emergency, as contemplated by 1210-5, the Mexico chapter. All non-essential county-sponsored events and gatherings on or before April 2020 are canceled. And the board authorizes and directs the county manager to take all actions with respect to county staff as may be necessary to carry out the mission of the county government in emergencies, including but not limited to allowing the use of electronic media, including electronic signatures in the restricted process, prohibiting in-person contact between the public and county staff, limiting the availability of certain county services and the means through which they are provided, sending certain county buildings, departments, and offices to the public, limiting hiring and non-essential expenditures to prepare for the anticipated drop in revenue with the COVID-19 pandemic and the response thereto, allowing for flexibility of time and location of work as necessary, altering the hours of operation, and making any additional temporary alterations to the Bureau of County Personnel Handbook as deemed necessary. There have been many steps already taken by the county manager with regards to the COVID-19. The first was a reduction of time that the public could access the annex. The hours were reduced along with many of the counties in our vicinity, Manatee, Taos, and Chapan, particularly took immediate steps to reduce the hours that the public could access the facility from 10 to 2. Upon discovering that there was any cases through the county manager has taken steps to close the annex to the public, while still ensuring that public business will continue to be carried on by trying to install ground boxes and encouraging all the county staff that have to deal with the public to take proper precautions with using protective personal equipment, as well as to timely process any legal work that's committed by the public for processes such as recordation, property tax documents, insurance permits, the like. There are certain county departments that, of course, cannot operate that way, such as the senior program for seniors who are now staying home more than ever, detention center staff, law enforcement staff, building maintenance staff, road crews, mechanics, that type of thing. And so, number 7 of the resolution ratifies to the extent necessary actions that have already been taken by the county manager in the COVID-19 crisis. County offices, departments have been requested and directed to coordinate the response to the COVID-19 emergency with each other, the state, other political subdivisions, and other governmental entities. Subject to statutory and other restrictions on the use of the funds, the county manager may authorize the expenditure of any available funds for COVID-19 emergency purposes, regardless of the office of the funds are budgeted. And the county may issue further
Commissioners, we have the ability to read this resolution prior to the meeting, days prior to the meeting. And I now want to know if you have any questions for Alon. Yes, Commissioner Martinez. None from you, Commissioner Martinez? Yes. Commissioner Martinez, go ahead. Commissioner Martinez?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, I'm here.
I can hear you, Commissioner. Can you hear us?
I think that we should pause until they come back online. I see their icon and it shows that it's been muted.
Commissioner Martinez, can you hear me?
Mr. Chair?
You are unmuted.
Commissioner Martinez, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Thank you.
Okay, if I may, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garcia, first of all, as I commented at the top of the meeting, I want to get, as we know, we are in challenging times. We are in uncharted territory, something we have not seen in our lifetime. I do want to applaud the effort of our county management and the county staff for taking coordinated, appropriate measures and precautions to again ensure the safety of our staff, operational flexibility and scheduling, and in public access support about at the same time allowing or assuring that the effectual services and operation programs continue to move forward. I am in a agreement that this state of emergency is timely and is appropriate for these times that we're in. And just lastly, I just want to continue to encourage our listeners, our residents, and the staff that with God's help, we will get through this, and we will return stronger as a community, as a county, and as business. We will return, and I'm hopeful for what the future brings. So thank you to all involved.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Garcia, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do have comments, Commissioner Martinez. As well, I extend thanks to our county manager, and to the county manager, to all the staff, to all the employees, for being patient with manager having to make this decision, not having to do the answer. But thank you, I know that you have Matthew spent yourself out with everything because the fact is that you didn't have any open and have made decisions on what was sent and what's not. And I want to thank all the employees for supporting me and working on this. Yes, I just want to echo what Commissioner Martinez said. We are in challenging times. Yes, it's a year tested, routine testing. It's virus that has killed so many people and so many people are sick with it. I just want to thank all of the staff and you, and everyone for working through this. and for giving our services to the public, to our constituents. And I am hopeful and I'm praying that this virus ends very soon so that we can continue as people. We work for all the people and businesses that all the people that can't work and make a paycheck, pay the bills and mortgage and whatnot. So let's all work together and keep working together, and hopefully that soon enough we'll be out of this challenging times. And again, thank you all for working so diligently with this virus. Thank you, Commissioner Chair.
Thank you. So I also want to thank our county employees who are working, our management staff, our elected officials, including the clerk, the treasurer, the planning and zoning, our judge, every elected official, every employee, every manager has been doing a good job at keeping the county moving and working. The county is essential and we can't close county government, and so but we are taking precautions. So I was able to sit with the county manager and talk about a plan which included those drop boxes, closing to the public, working on a master calendar if the public does need to come in, so we limit the number of people who will access the annex and access Tierra Maria, to take those precautionary measures to ensure that we're protecting our staff and protecting the public. And so several months ago, the governor appointed me to the New Mexico State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. And so I'm hopeful that a meeting will happen soon where I can then present information back to my fellow commissioners and to the public on what's happening at a state level and what could happen at a county level in regards to the department. And so with that, I just want to thank everyone, and I also want to remind our employees to please be safe. And with us today is our County Fire Marshal, who's also our emergency manager, Alfredo Montoya. Gentlemen, if you don't mind, I'd like him to give us an update at this time, since this resolution touches on the work he's been doing. He and a staff of volunteers have been working on managing an emergency call center. They're working long days. They're here every day of the week. And so if you don't mind, gentlemen, and County Attorney Alan Trujillo, I would like for Alfredo to give us an update since this ties in together.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairman, and to the public that is watching us today. Rio County has taken many precautions to make sure that we are taking care of our employees and also the citizens that we serve. At this time, Rio County has 2 confirmed cases. The state count for New Mexico is currently over 130 cases. And unfortunately, we have had 1 death in New Mexico from COVID-19. I cannot urge the public how important it is to stay out of public places unless it is an emergency, or you do need to get things like prescriptions, household items, and groceries. We have staffed an emergency operations center here at Rio County. You can access that emergency operations center for questions about COVID-19 and or other resources that are available. The phone number to that emergency operations center is 505-753-2992, extension 5388. Again, staff is in that emergency operations center right now from the hours of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Again, thank you for participating today. And again, please stay home. Make sure that you're washing your hands frequently and cleaning frequently touched surfaces. Thank you.
Now, Alfredo, before you leave, so the number for the Emergency Operations Center is 753-2997.
2992.
2992, extension 5388. And before you leave, for those watching, what type of calls are you receiving and what are you able to provide via that number?
The phone calls that we have started to receive at this time are individuals who are concerned about their neighbors' well-being. We've also started to take several calls for elderly or youth who possibly need things like shelf-stable foods. We do have limited resources. We are taking those calls and fulfilling those requests as we get them to the best of our ability. Also, if anyone is interested in contributing to our efforts to provide those shelf-stable foods to our seniors or those in need, we do have a drop box outside of the county annex at 1122 Industrial Park Road to make donations for shelf-stable foods.
Very good. Thank you, Alfredo. Commissioners, any questions for Alfredo before he heads back to the emergency command station?
Mr. Chair, another question that I just want to echo what Alfredo said and last comment. For our employees and everyone to continue to stay in contact and let's follow our governor's order, stay home order that she put out and just put out at emergencies or stuff that we can do. So just to keep the family safe, everyone safe out there. And let's all pray and be hopeful that we get out of this virus, this challenging time very soon. So just on the
Thank you. And so before I go to you, Commissioner Martinez, Jeremy Maestas, who's our Park and Recreations Department Director, is also a school board member for Espanola Public Schools. He just sent word if we can announce that the state has announced the schools have been closed for the remainder of the school year, but wants the public to know that Espanola Public School District will continue to provide meals, and they can visit school websites for locations, for grab-and-go locations. And so more information I'm sure will come, but you can find, once again, the governor has closed New Mexico Public Schools for the remainder of the year, but Espanola Public Schools will continue to provide meals to students on the grab-and-go. And so I'm sure more information will be posted on the school board, on the Espanola Public Schools webpage and on Facebook announcements. Commissioner Martinez, do you have any comments?
Yes, Commissioner Martinez. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. First and also many thanks to Alfredo Montoya, to Delilah, and the whole team involved in their work. Also, it is worth recognizing Christopher Madrid
thank you. My comments as well are to thank everybody, Alfredo, Delilah, the volunteer firefighters who are coming in. Yesterday we had Clarissa Duran with volunteers outside of the Health and Human Services, or the Health Commons area, handing out food to the elderly on a grab-and-go, non-perishable items. We have Lauren Reichert, who's rallied a group of community residents who are sewing masks that can be sent out. We have our county employees who are ensuring county government is functioning even through this virus. And so to everybody who has taken part in stepping up and helping during this hard time, thank you on behalf of myself and my fellow commissioners. And to those of you out in the public who have also stepped up to help in many ways to ensuring that those who are in need at this time are not going without, but are having the community standing behind them to make sure that those needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'd just also like to add, commissioners, that we are extremely lucky to have the county staff that are assisting me and the staff that have assembled the emergency operations team and the work that they're doing.
Thank you, Alfredo. So we now then, do I hear a motion or do I have a recommendation from the county manager in regards to resolution 2020-071?
I recommend approval.
There's been a recommendation for approval by the county manager. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Commissioner Garcia. Do I hear a second?
There is a second. There is a second by Commissioner Martinez.
Seconded by Commissioner Martinez. We then go to roll call. Roll call, please.
Danny Garcia. James Martinez. Leo Jaramillo.
Yes. Motion passes. We then head to item number E, which is resolution 2020-072. This is the census extension request for federal delegation. And we now head to Chris Madrid, who will be presenting. Chris.
Members of the Commission, County Management, County Staff, members of the public. This is a resolution asking our congressional delegation to reach out to the U.S. Census Bureau and ask for an extension of time to conduct the 2020 census. At a time that we're dealing with countless critical issues before you, I have the unfortunate responsibility to give you one more urgent matter. Recently, the census count started, I think, around March 12th. After 2 weeks, I'm going to say this twice for emphasis, after 2 weeks on a national level, there was a 24% response rate. The response rate in Rio Grande County is less than 1%. So on a national level, 24% response rate. At a county level, less than 1%. We're looking at a severe undercount in our county if this continues. And given that we're a regional county, given that our strategy, because we don't have the technology that's enjoyed by metropolitan areas, our strategy was to go out to the rural areas and actually congregate around food, coming together so that we can get the word out at our villages, towns, and our rural areas. That strategy can no longer be employed for the reasons of the COVID-19. We're having to readjust, but without additional time, without the federal government changing its strategy and making sure that they go door to door, we're going to have a severe undercount, which is going to translate to the loss of literally hundreds of millions of dollars to our county over the 10-year period that the census will affect. So we ask for this commission to approve this resolution, to ask our congressional delegation to advocate for an extension of time and additional resources to make sure that our people are properly counted during this census period.
Any questions, commissioners?
No, I recommend approval.
James, Commissioner Martinez, you're muted again.
Yes, Chairman, it is unfortunate to hear those low numbers as Mr. Chris
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Commissioner Garcia, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't, I just want to say that I am in support of this, special request for federal situation on that, and yes, everyone needs to, how any of this will count that on the census. Thank you, Commissioner.
Very good, thank you. And so I do want to emphasize that a 1% response rate is alarmingly low. We definitely need to make sure that we mobilize and ensure that there's an extension. So Charlotte Ludueño, along with Roger Montoya and Christian Madrid, had a plan on going out, getting the word out, and ensuring that people were counted within the county. Because the threat of us losing $5,000 per person not counted per year is big money, and when you take into consideration that it's every 10 years we do a count. Now, Commissioners, Charlotte did send us some PDF files and asked that we take to social media and talk to our constituents electronically, encouraging them to call in, to be counted, to go on to 2020census.gov to fill out the census form. Now, I would like to share two numbers, if you don't mind. The easiest way to complete the 2020 census, and thank you to Charlotte for providing us this information, is by calling the English hotline, which is 844-330-2020. Once again, that's the English hotline for the census. That's 844-330-2020. And the Spanish hotline is 844-468-2020. Once again, that's 844-468-2020 for the census in Espanol. And so we need to definitely move as community leaders to get the word out to our constituents and to ensure that we're counted. And so if there are no other comments or questions, what's the recommendation of the county manager?
I recommend approval.
Recommendation of approval. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion, Commissioner Martinez, to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Martinez. Do I hear a second?
We have a second, Commissioner Garcia.
Seconded by Commissioner Garcia. We now go to roll call.
Danny Garcia.
Yes.
James Martinez.
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo.
Yes. So commissioners, I challenge you now that we're staying home that you go on to the census and that you make sure you and your families are counted. There's no need to go into executive session, so we then move to the county manager's report. Tomas. Thank you, Chris.
So Mr. Chair, I don't have a formal report ready, but I wanted to just assure the commission I made an attempt to talk to each one of you on a regular basis. I know it's sometimes late at night that we're speaking or interacting, but I'm trying to keep you informed. And I apologize if I leave some things out that are important to you, but this is like our county is large, and it's I guess I call it a monster sometimes, but just so you know, the monster is we're doing our best to keep our public informed. We didn't formally have a PIO, so we're doing our best to keep our public informed. I think we're doing a good job. Every decision that we make, we're trying to involve our elected officials and our directors in every move that we make. Adan, I, and Leo Marquez make every attempt to try to keep things as legal as possible and try to keep everything as we can. I mean, in order as we can. And I also want to alert you that with that, we are being relentless as we can with all of our state representatives and our delegation. So if you get reports that we're being a little bit naughty, we're not being naughty, we're just demanding services for our citizens. So we've tangled with governor's assistants, with public health officials, with district court judges, with magistrate judges. All of those areas we've had to delve into to try to get services to our people. So, gentlemen, any way that you think we can improve, you know, I'm open. Commissioner Jaramillo had some great input during the last couple of days and was here to assist. Danny, we can't meet, but we talk, and Commissioner Martinez, who had some great input also. So, gentlemen, just I'm always open for your suggestions.
Any comments, commissioners?
Well, I do, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Martinez, I'm just cleaning up the commission's report. And Tomas, I think we have a concern that we received an email from Travis from M81 from, businesses and other people that have relate so assistance on that money that's supposed to be coming to.
Okay, Commissioner Garcia, you were extremely hard to hear, but let me reiterate. So Commissioner is talking about some funds that Ben Ray's office is working on with a local individual, with Commissioner Garcia also, which will provide very low interest loans to our businesses to help them through this time. And yes, Commissioner Garcia, I have it and we're pursuing that. There's several avenues that Chris Madrid's pursuing, trying to help our local businesses get through this. And that's one of them that we're following up on this week. Okay, let me just repeat because they were hard to hear again, Commissioner. So the Commissioner's referring to the infrastructure fund for borrowing that we're pursuing, which would, I believe, would possibly bring at least $4 to $6 million to Rio Arriba again in low interest loans for different businesses and for infrastructure. So we are following up on that. And once it's available, we will get the word out, I believe I did, Commissioner. It's just we've been moving from one thing to the other one. Yes, I did. Okay, yes, Commissioner, I'll call you later on this afternoon.
Okay.
Chairman, Commissioner Garcia, I just closing comments myself. Again, just thanks to all involved during
So Commissioner Martinez, we did get some good news when it comes to funds with our senior programs. The state has allowed us to move our funding over so that we can ensure that we can purchase items that will be needed in regards to food for our seniors. Now that's something really big and something that's going to be essential in hard times like now. So I don't know, County Manager Tomas Campos, if you want to.
Along the lines of seniors, I'd like to thank the city of Espanola. They've sent over their employees to assist our employees in a joint effort to provide meals to the seniors here in the valley and throughout Actalia, Chimayo, and those areas. So thank you. I'd like to thank the mayor and the city manager for offering their employees. We've also had employees from several other departments. For example, yesterday our archive staff was completely exhausted after assisting the senior staff with, I don't know how many meals, over 200 meals that they delivered in the northern part of the county. They were completely exhausted. I happened to talk to them yesterday afternoon. So we have recreations, we have all the other staff, instead of going home on their leave, they've decided to step up and volunteer with the seniors, and they're very appreciated.
Yes, and thanks to all the staff that's doing that now. It's important to note that even though we're practicing social distancing, when our seniors go out to get their meals taken to them, we're still calling out their name, ensuring that there's a response from behind the door so that we ensure that our seniors are safe and well when the delivery takes place. So lots of different things we're doing to ensure that our senior population is taken care of, and other areas that we're taking care of, other residents, we're making sure that we're moving in right directions to ensure that everyone has some sort of support from Rio Arriba County and in teaming efforts with the city of Espanola. Adan.
Before you start manager agenda, county manager's report agenda, I wanted to emphasize in these uncertain times that it is probably wise to request an absentee ballot from the county clerk's office in order to continue to be able to exercise our civic right to cast the vote in upcoming primary and general elections. And I found that the county clerk's website was very easy to navigate and very easy to use. It took about 5 minutes to request an absentee ballot. And I would strongly encourage that the county manager work with the county clerk, as well as any other department capabilities that performing functions online, to place a link on the main county page for Rio Arriba County for the public to be able to request an absentee ballot, know that there's ultimately state property taxes, and I think whatever business is capable of being conducted online, I think that it's a good idea to place those links on the main page of the county website to facilitate those transactions being able to take place.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Adan. Thank you. So now we're going to move on from the county manager's report to the county commissioner's report. Commissioners, do you have anything to report?
Chairman, Commissioner Garcia, I think all has been said on my part. Again, I want to thank you all for your efforts, for your work. And again, our prayers are out to those who are sick, who are maybe having difficulties, but also a prayer for protection. And may God bless Rio Arriba County. Thank you.
Commissioner Garcia, any comments from you?
Yes, Commissioner, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Martinez, everyone, I can't stop continuing asking for support and help. Thank you all for all the great help and the good job you're doing out there. And be safe, take your families, and take care of yourselves. And try to stay on to this Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. And for my report, I do think that for everyone who's home because of the virus, the two major things we can do for now is ensure that we're counted in the 2020 census. By being counted generates funds that come into the county that help in areas of roads, schools, healthcare programs. It helps in bringing in business to areas. And so the other is also to ensure that your voice is not silenced, but that you definitely request that absentee ballot and you vote in the 2020 primary. Now, I also want to continue to thank the employees of Rio Arriba County, the mayor of Espanola, and the city employees who have teamed to help the county in our missions to ensure that our residents are being taken care of. And so even to those employees like Chris Madrid and Chris Caltarojoni, I hope I said it right, who send emails even at every hour of the night to ensure that we're in constant communication on what can happen with small business in areas the county can help in the census. We have a team of so many employees who are strong working employees that I am so very thankful for. And we're successful as a county because of every single employee in Rio Arriba County. And I want to thank you for your hard work and dedication even during this time of COVID-19.
Mr. Chair. Before we adjourn, unfortunately, because my mind is all over the place, one thing slipped by me. You did today approve the bond proceeds of approximately $5.5 million. That has just been placed in the budget. You guys know that we sold the bonds, so we sold approximately $6 million of the total $30 million bond issue. So with that, we will commence. We have several pieces of equipment waiting, and all we need to do is generate purchase orders, and we will have 2 dump trucks delivered next week, so we can commence the road work that we promised the constituents. And we will also start RFPing for contractors to do several of the roads that we have promised. So just so you know that was inside one of the budget adjustments. We placed that in the budget today, so as of now, we can start using that money for what was promised.
Okay. If there are no other comments or questions, Commissioner Garcia, do you have a question?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Now we move on to announcements. Just as a reminder, our regular county commission meeting for the month of April 2020 will be held in Tierra Amarilla on Tuesday, April 28th at 3:00 p.m. Now this is subject to change based on COVID-19, whether we'll be doing yet another teleconference, and so my assumption is it will be a meeting much like today's, but more information to come. And so if I can have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Motion by Commissioner Garcia to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Yes, there is a second by Commissioner Martinez.
Second by Commissioner Martinez. We then go to roll call.
Danny Garcia.
Yes.
James Martinez.
Yes.
Leo Jaramillo.
Yes. This meeting is adjourned at 12:11 p.m. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Yes, thank you to all. God bless you and stay safe.
Okay. Do you have any questions?